I thought I had the perfect marriage with Jessica. 5 years of what I believed was happiness, trust, and love. Then I discovered text messages between her and Marcus, her boss. When confronted, she proposed an open marriage as the solution to save our relationship. Broken and confused, I reluctantly agreed. What I never expected was finding comfort in Amanda, my wife's best friend. As we grew closer, Jessica suddenly changed her tune. She could date others, but I apparently crossed a line. Before I continue my story of sweet redemption, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like and subscribe button. I met Jessica at a company holiday party 5 years ago. I was working in the marketing department, and she had just joined the financial team. The moment I saw her walk into the room in that red dress, I knew I wanted to talk to her. We ended up spending the entire night in a corner, discussing everything from our career goals to our favorite childhood memories. By the end of the evening, I had her number and a promise for dinner that weekend. Our relationship progressed quickly. Jessica was smart, ambitious, and had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. 6 months in, I knew she was the one. We took a vacation to Hawaii for our 1-year anniversary, and I proposed on the beach at sunset. She cried when I got down on one knee, and the people around us applauded when she said yes. It felt like something out of a movie, perfect in every way. Our wedding was beautiful. We had it at a vineyard in California with about 100 guests. Amanda was Jessica's maid of honor. They had been best friends since college roommates, who remained close despite taking different career paths. My initial impression of Amanda was that she was nice, but reserved. We were friendly whenever we saw each other, but there was always a certain distance between us. She was Jessica's friend, not mine. After the wedding, Jessica and I bought a house in the suburbs. We talked about having children within a few years once our careers were more established. We painted rooms, bought furniture, and planted a garden together. On weekends, we would invite friends over for barbecues or movie nights. Amanda would come sometimes, usually alone as she had recently ended a long-term relationship. I noticed she was always helpful, offering to clean up or bring extra food without being asked. Jessica's career began taking off about 2 years into our marriage. She was promoted twice in rapid succession and started traveling for work. At first, it was just occasional trips, a few days here and there. I was proud of her success and supported her completely. We would video chat when she was away, and she would bring me back little souvenirs from different cities. Gradually, things began to change. Jessica started working later hours, even when she was not traveling. Our video chats became shorter. Sometimes she would miss them altogether, claiming she was in meetings or too tired. When she was home, she was constantly on her phone, smiling at text messages, but quickly putting the phone face down when I walked into the room. I tried to reignite the spark in our marriage. I planned surprise date nights, bought her gifts for no reason, and tried to show interest in her work. She would seem appreciative but distant, as if her mind was always elsewhere. Once I suggested we take another vacation, maybe return to Hawaii, but she said she could not take time off work right now. There was always an excuse, always a reason we could not connect like we used to. Then came the night I noticed a text notification on her phone while she was in the shower. The preview showed a message from Marcus that started with "Miss you already." I had never been the type to snoop, but something in my gut told me this was important. When I picked up her phone, it was unlocked. What I found changed everything. There were hundreds of messages between them, dating back 3 months. The content left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. There were intimate photos, plans for meetings, in hotel rooms, and even messages sent from business trips when she had told me she was alone. I sat there, her phone in my hand, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. This was Marcus Stevens, her direct supervisor, a man who had been to our house for dinner, who had shaken my hand and complimented me on the steaks I grilled. A man who was married with 2 children of his own. I could not sleep that night. I waited until morning, watching Jessica sleep peacefully next to me, unaware that I knew her secret. When she woke up, I simply handed her the phone and asked her to explain. Her face went through a series of emotions: confusion, shock, fear, and finally defiance. "You went through my phone," she asked, as if I was the one who had committed a betrayal. "The message preview was visible on your lock screen," I replied, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Is it true? Are you having an affair with Marcus?" At first she tried to deny it, claiming they were just close friends and colleagues. But when I mentioned specific messages, she realized there was no point in lying anymore. She admitted to the affair but tried to minimize it. "It is just physical, Shaun," she said. "It does not mean anything. Marcus and I have a connection at work, but I still love you. You are my husband." I asked how long it had been going on. 3 months, she admitted. The same 3 months during which I had been trying desperately to reconnect with her, blaming myself for the distance between us. I had been planning romantic evenings while she was planning rendezvous with another man. "I still want our marriage," Jessica said, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. "People make mistakes, Shaun. We can work through this." Then she said something that completely blindsided me. "Maybe what we need is more openness. Many modern couples are exploring open marriages these days. It might actually strengthen our relationship." I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. My wife had cheated on me, and her solution was not to end the affair but to formalize it with my permission. "You want my blessing to continue sleeping with your boss?" I asked incredulously. Not just that, she replied, seemingly warming to the idea as she spoke. "We could both have freedom to explore connections with other people while maintaining our primary relationship with each other. It works for lots of couples." I was too shocked to respond coherently. Part of me wanted to pack a bag and leave immediately, but we had built a life together. We owned a home, our finances were intertwined, and despite everything, some foolish part of me still loved her. I told her I needed time to think. She agreed, but I could tell she had already made up her mind. This was not a suggestion, it was an ultimatum. Either I accepted the open marriage concept, or she would likely continue the affair behind my back anyway. The next few days were a blur of sleepless nights and distracted days. I could not focus at work. I lost my appetite. Friends noticed something was wrong, and finally I confided in my closest friend, Brian. His advice was straightforward: leave her. But it is never that simple, is it? 5 years of marriage, a home we built together, dreams we shared. How do you walk away from that without trying everything possible to save it? While I was still processing everything, Jessica took my indecision as tacit agreement. She began openly dating Marcus, not even attempting to hide it anymore. She would come home late, smelling of cologne that was not mine, and act as if this was perfectly normal. Each time it felt like she was stabbing me in the heart all over again. Then one day I received a text from Amanda. She had heard about Jessica and Marcus from a mutual friend and wanted to check if I was okay. We met for coffee, and for the first time since discovering the affair, I felt like someone truly understood my pain. "I am so sorry, Shaun," Amanda said, her eyes reflecting genuine concern. "I knew Jessica had been acting differently lately, but I never imagined she would do something like this." Amanda revealed that Jessica had confided in her about her attraction to Marcus months ago, and Amanda had strongly advised against pursuing it. Jessica had apparently stopped talking to Amanda about it after that, creating distance in their friendship as well. "I told her she was making a terrible mistake," Amanda said, "that she had a wonderful husband and was risking everything for something that would not last." She did not want to hear it. That coffee meeting turned into dinner the following week, and soon Amanda became my sounding board, the one person who knew exactly what I was going through. She had known Jessica for over a decade and could offer insights into her behavior that helped me understand, even if it did not lessen the pain. Through Amanda's eyes, I began to see Jessica more clearly. The selfishness that had always been there, but that I had interpreted as ambition. The way she tended to prioritize her desires above everyone else's needs. The pattern of using people and discarding them when they no longer served her purpose. After a month of deliberation, legal consultations, and conversations with Amanda, I made my decision. I would agree to Jessica's open marriage proposal, but not because I wanted it. I would use this time to prepare for an eventual divorce, to separate our lives gradually rather than in one painful rupture. It was a strategic retreat, not a surrender. When I told Jessica I would try the open marriage arrangement, she seemed relieved, but not particularly happy. I suspect she had already begun to realize that Marcus was not interested in anything long-term. He wanted the excitement of an affair, not the complications of leaving his wife for his subordinate. By keeping me as her husband, Jessica maintained her safety net. Once the open marriage arrangement was officially in place, something unexpected happened. My friendship with Amanda began to evolve. We were spending several evenings a week together. Initially just talking about the situation with Jessica, but gradually about everything else. Our childhoods, our dreams, books we had read, movies we loved. Amanda was different from Jessica in almost every way. Where Jessica was outgoing and the center of attention, Amanda was thoughtful and listened more than she spoke. Where Jessica was career-focused to the exclusion of almost everything else, Amanda had built a balanced life, successful in her work as a graphic designer, but also making time for friends, family, and hobbies. She told me how she had tried multiple times to talk sense into Jessica, even risking their friendship to point out the damage Jessica was causing. "I asked her how she would feel if you were sleeping with someone else," Amanda said during one of our dinners. "She actually laughed and said you never would because you were too devoted to her." The way she said it, Shaun, it was not a compliment. It was like she saw your loyalty as a weakness she could exploit. That conversation changed something between us. It was the first time I realized that my devotion to Jessica had indeed been a weakness. Not because loyalty itself is weak, but because it was misplaced in someone who did not value it. As weeks turned into months, Amanda and I grew closer. We never explicitly discussed it, but there was an undeniable attraction building between us. I found myself looking forward to seeing her, thinking about her when we were apart, noticing small details like the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, or how her eyes crinkled at the corners when she laughed. Then came the night that changed everything. We had dinner at a small Italian restaurant, and afterwards, standing next to her car in the parking lot, our conversation reached a natural pause. There was a moment of silence, charged with unspoken feelings. Amanda looked up at me, and I found myself leaning down, drawn to her like gravity. Our first kiss was tentative questioning, but the second was not. When we broke apart, reality came rushing back. What were we doing? She was my wife's best friend. Despite the open marriage arrangement, this felt like crossing a line that could not be uncrossed. "I should not have done that," I said, stepping back. Amanda shook her head. "If anyone should feel guilty, here it is, Jessica. She broke your vows, not you. She wanted an open marriage. These are the consequences of her choices." Still, I was conflicted. Was I pursuing Amanda because I genuinely cared for her, or was this just a way to hurt Jessica? Amanda seemed to read my thoughts. "This is not about Jessica," she said firmly. "This is about you and me, two people who have found something unexpected. We can take it slow, figure it out together." And so we did. We continued seeing each other, but carefully, deliberately. It was not just physical attraction. It was a deepening emotional connection. Amanda understood parts of me that Jessica never had, and I found myself opening up to her in ways I had never done with anyone else. Surprisingly, Jessica did not notice at first. She was still wrapped up in her relationship with Marcus, often spending weekends at his apartment when his wife was visiting family. Jessica and I barely saw each other, passing like ships in the night in our own home. When we did interact, it was superficial, logistical conversations about household matters or bills. The confrontation came about 2 months into my relationship with Amanda. Jessica and I had been living our separate lives within our open marriage when she walked into a restaurant where Amanda and I were having dinner. We were not hiding exactly, but we had been discreet, not flaunting our relationship in places we knew Jessica frequented. But that night, Jessica had apparently changed her plans last minute and decided to try the new restaurant everyone was talking about. She spotted us immediately sitting in a corner booth, holding hands across the table, laughing at a shared joke. Jessica stormed over her face, a mask of fury. "What the hell is this?" she demanded, looking back and forth between us. My husband and my best friend. How long has this been going on behind my back? The irony of her accusation was not lost on me. Behind your back, I repeated calmly. We have an open marriage, Jessica. Your idea, remember. You are seeing Marcus, and I am seeing Amanda. How is one different from the other? This is different, and you know it, she hissed. She is my best friend. There are boundaries, Shaun. Amanda, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Boundaries. Like the boundary of marriage, vows that you broke first. You do not get to dictate the terms here, Jessica. You wanted an open marriage. This is what that looks like. Jessica turned her anger toward Amanda. You backstabbing bitch. You were supposed to be my friend. I was your friend, Amanda replied evenly. I told you not to cheat on your husband. I told you not to risk your marriage for Marcus. You chose not to listen. Jessica's face changed then, her anger giving way to something else. Vulnerability, perhaps, or fear. Marcus ended things, she admitted. His wife found out and threatened to take the kids. He chose his family. She looked at me, her eyes softening. I realized what a mistake I made, Shaun. I want to fix our marriage. I want things to go back to how they were. In that moment, I felt nothing but clarity. There was no going back. The woman standing before me was not the person I thought I had married. She had revealed her true character through her actions, and now that her preferred option had rejected her, she was trying to return to her backup plan, me. There is no going back, Jessica, I said. You broke something that cannot be fixed. I have moved on, and you need to as well. Jessica's vulnerability vanished, replaced by cold fury. You will regret this, she said, looking between Amanda and me. Both of you. She stormed out of the restaurant, leaving a wake of uncomfortable stares from other diners. Amanda reached for my hand again. Are you okay? She asked. I realized somewhat surprisingly that I was. For the first time in months, I felt completely certain about the path forward. In the weeks that followed, Jessica launched a campaign to make our lives difficult. She told mutual friends that Amanda and I had been having an affair behind her back, conveniently leaving out her own infidelity. She left nasty comments on Amanda's professional social media accounts, causing Amanda to lose a client who did not want to be associated with personal drama. Then came the legal threat. Jessica consulted a divorce attorney who told her she could potentially claim that I had committed adultery despite our open marriage arrangement, since there had been no formal written agreement. She threatened to take half of everything, including my retirement savings and even the classic car I had inherited from my father. Amanda stood by me through all of it. She introduced me to a friend of hers who happened to be a family law attorney. Together, we prepared to fight whatever Jessica might throw at us. The divorce process was not as catastrophic as Jessica had threatened. My attorney was prepared with evidence of Jessica's affair with Marcus, including text messages she had sent me, acknowledging the relationship and proposing the open marriage. We had emails where she explicitly stated that both of us were free to see other people. Her attempt to claim adultery on my part, while ignoring her own actions, quickly fell apart under legal scrutiny. When Jessica realized her position was weak, she suddenly became more reasonable. We negotiated a settlement that was fair to both parties. We sold the house and split the proceeds, divided our other assets equitably, and went our separate ways without further drama. The divorce was finalized 6 months after that night in the restaurant. Signing those final papers felt like setting down a heavy burden I had been carrying. I walked out of the courthouse feeling lighter than I had in years. Amanda was waiting for me on the steps, and the smile she gave me confirmed that I was moving in the right direction. Our relationship continued to grow, but we were careful not to rush things. We had both learned hard lessons about the importance of building a solid foundation. We dated for a year before moving in together, taking time to ensure what we had was real and not just a reaction to the trauma of my failed marriage. About 8 months after the divorce, Jessica reached out with an email. It was surprisingly thoughtful, an acknowledgement of the pain she had caused, and a genuine apology for her behavior. She had started therapy, she wrote, and was beginning to understand the patterns that had led her to sabotage our marriage and hurt people who cared about her. I appreciated the apology, but did not feel the need to re-establish contact. Some chapters are better left closed. Amanda and I decided to make a fresh start in a new city. I transferred to my company's Seattle office, and Amanda, whose graphic design work could be done remotely, came with me. We bought a small house with a view of Puget Sound and adopted a dog from the local shelter. Simple things, but they brought us joy that the material trappings of my previous life never had. Looking back now, I can see how the painful end of my marriage was actually the beginning of a more authentic life. I had been living according to someone else's values, trying to make a selfish person happy at the expense of my own well-being. The affair and its aftermath forced me to reevaluate everything and to recognize my own worth. The most important lesson I learned was that self-respect must come before any relationship. When you compromise your values to keep someone else happy, you lose a part of yourself in the process. Real love does not require that kind of sacrifice. Real love lifts you up rather than diminishing you. I also learned that happiness cannot be defined by another person. It comes from within, from living in alignment with your own truth and values. Jessica could not take that away from me, no matter how hard she tried, because I finally understood that my worth was not determined by her approval or anyone else's. Sometimes, the most painful experiences lead to the greatest opportunities for growth. Had Jessica not betrayed me, I might have continued in a marriage that was not fulfilling with someone who did not truly value me. I might never have discovered the deep connection I now share with Amanda, a relationship built on mutual respect and genuine caring. The final lesson was about forgiveness, not for Jessica's sake, but for my own. I had to let go of the anger and resentment to move forward. That did not mean forgetting or allowing further mistreatment. It meant refusing to let the past dictate my future happiness. I wonder when you realized you deserved better in a relationship. Was there a moment that opened your eyes to your own worth? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories about overcoming challenges and finding happiness. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the end of one chapter is exactly what you need to begin writing a better story for yourself.